Be honest, have you ever stared at your phone and seen a cancellation text from a friend? And instead of feeling disappointed, your entire body was flooded with an indescribable sense of relief? Maybe you were sitting on the edge of your bed, staring blankly at your closet. You were already exhausted just thinking about picking an outfit, commuting, and making small talk. And then the screen lit up. The plans were off, and you could finally breathe. Or, conversely, maybe you were the one who drafted the text. "I'm so sorry, I'm not feeling well today," even though you were really just curled up in bed and didn't want to go anywhere. We believe the internet should be a tool for empowerment, not distraction. In a world full of empty content and constant noise, we stand as the opposite. This video is your safe space. Cancelling plans at the last minute is often labeled as lazy, rude, or selfish. But what if I told you that from a psychological perspective, this is often a defense mechanism of an overloaded nervous system? This video is for anyone who has ever felt extreme guilt after making an excuse to not leave the house. Or anyone who frequently says yes to plans out of obligation, only to regret it immediately after. Or perhaps you simply struggle with social burnout. In today's Psychology Deep Dive, you'll learn the truth behind social burnout. We will explore the difference between simply being an introvert and your nervous system being triggered by pressure. You'll discover why waiting for the event is sometimes more draining than the event itself. And most importantly, how to set boundaries without feeling guilty. Let's break down these psychological patterns. First, why do we agree to go out in the first place, only to want to cancel later? It stems from the people-pleasing trap, the deep desire to keep others happy. When someone asks you out for coffee next week, the pressure to be a good friend makes you blurt out, yes. You are essentially borrowing energy from your future self to pay off your guilt in the present. This trap often begins in childhood. Many adults who struggle with this were forced to grow up too fast, experiencing what psychologists call parentification. If you had to be strong as a child or took on adult responsibilities too early, you subconsciously learned a harmful lesson. You learned that your value came from being compliant, quiet, and helpful. So today, saying no to a simple coffee date feels like a psychological threat to your relationships. You hope that next week you'll have enough energy, but the truth is, you're creating an emotional debt. Next, let's talk about the nervous system. As the day approaches, the plan is no longer an abstract idea. It becomes a real task. For people who already carry a lot of psychological burdens, the brain starts to perceive this social interaction as a threat. In the groundbreaking book, The Body Keeps the Score, psychiatrist Bessel van der Kolk explains how chronic stress literally rewires our nervous system. Your brain's alarm system cannot tell the difference between a real physical threat and an overwhelming social obligation. Your nervous system gets triggered, activating the familiar freeze or flight response. Sending that cancellation text is simply the flight response. The profound relief you feel immediately after is your parasympathetic nervous system calming down. It's your brain signaling, we are safe, we aren't losing any more energy. Finally, there's emotional burnout. Sometimes you don't hate the plans, and you certainly don't hate your friends. You just hate having to perform. Putting on a happy mask, listening, and responding while you feel empty inside requires a massive amount of energy. Many emotionally mature adults quietly struggle with this chronic self-pressure. And when your body realizes there is no empty space left in your mind, it automatically pulls the emergency brake. So how do we break this survival pattern and reclaim emotional freedom? The first step is not forcing yourself to go out more. The first step is understanding and healing the inner child who was taught that their own needs didn't matter. Apply the 24-hour rule. When someone invites you out, instead of saying yes immediately, make it a habit to pause. Say, "Let me check my schedule and get back to you." This pause separates the social pressure from your decision, allowing you to evaluate whether you actually want to go. And when you do need to say no, you don't need to invent a fake illness. You can use simple, honest templates like, "I would absolutely love to see you, but I'm running on empty this week and need to rest." Or, "Thank you so much for the invite, but I don't have the social bandwidth right now. Can we rain check?" True friends will always understand. Remember, protecting your energy is not a crime. You simply cannot pour from an empty cup. Understanding your own psychology is the first step toward breaking these survival patterns. If this resonated, you might enjoy the books that inspired it. I put together a collection of psychology and philosophy books that explore emotional depth on Bookshop. Link in the description. Disclaimer: this channel is created for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended to replace professional psychological, medical, or therapeutic advice. And as always, thank you for being here. Stay tuned for the next upload.